source is. So I'm connected via mobile. So I'm little. First time I'm attending a meeting from mobile. So
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, last 7 days of the session was really good. I mean, there are a lot of things that that are actually kind of a knowledge. Some part of it initially maybe I couldn't agree with it, but even now both Shuddhi is the way, at least for people who are not at state where they can immediately understand what is the Jnana Marga.
Correct.
Or the, yeah. So yeah, if you ask me what is the right path, maybe at this point I would still say, because I'm still in the samsara, so I think both of these is the way, at least for people like me, to grow step by step until the final thing is realized.
Correct. Agreeable. That is nice. See, both will lead to the same result. So it doesn't matter whether you follow this or that.
Yeah, because there was since childhood there was something like alambana. Alambana means, okay, maybe initially I liked Sai Baba, so he told about Shraddha. Sai Baba is ultimately the incarnation of Datta Avtara.
Correct.
So yeah, Datta is mostly about, again, that all the three. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara kind of thing again.
Correct.
So then I was more inclined towards Anjaneya, where Soham becomes like Dasoham.
Correct.
Right. I think the Dasoham is the same thing what Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya mentioned. It becomes Dvaita. And someone told me that Dasoham becomes Sada Soham, so which becomes Ramanujacharya philosophy of Visishta Advaita. So yeah, with Anjaneya, I know as my liking God, I kind of went into more of bhakti and then become a devotee kind of thing to whatever I was doing. So then got into this marga initiated by my guru. Yeah, I think it's stage by stage. If I see myself, I think bhakti marga or the Bhuta Shuddhi way is what has been driven so long. And yes, ultimately it culminates to the this one, yeah.
Okay, good. So you shouldn't change. So basically, don't change that to Chitta Shuddhi just because I have explained both. It is whatever works for a person, he should follow that.
Yes, definitely. But this information, or not just information, this kind of knowledge in which my anusthana has to be driven. This has given me a clear path of how it has to be done, and then what is the ultimate thing or the direction in which it has to be taken.
That is very nice to know. It should be that way, and you are feeling it.
Yeah. You were telling one thing like it should not be taken as an andha vishwasa or mudha. There should be a vishwasa, or then it should be taken into a proper thing.
Correct.
So I think these sessions help me a lot in understanding the inside of it.
Yes, so it depends on our commitment to the God, like Anjaneya. So if I'm able to commit myself to Anjaneya and I'm able to see Anjaneya in everything I'm doing, the I goes away and is replaced by Anjaneya. So that Anjaneya gets established so much that every time I do something, I'm offering it to Anjaneya. So then the Anjaneya appears on the day when I really want it, and then he is there standing in front of me, guiding me. So when he asks, tell me what you want, and I won't be having anything to say because I've got what I wanted, because that is how it will look when it manifests. So whether I take Anjaneya or take Lakshmi or take Vishnu, I take Shiva, Parvati, or whatever is my deity, that is the experience I'm going to gain. So that is good, because that can only happen when the elements are purified. So when I purify the Tejo element, that is the fire, followed by Apo element, the water, Then I purify the Vayu element, which is the air. Then the Prithvi will get purified. With that, I can now see the Antariksha, which is space. So when I know that the same space is inside me and outside of me, it becomes very nice as an experience. So then the Anjaneya or Shiva or Parvati or whomever I have as my Ishta Devata will get manifested. So it will be a beautiful feeling of having it. Anyway, so today I want to start on the Bhagavad Gita. So we started on the 6th chapter. I thought let me go through the entire 6th chapter as a summary and what we can do for ourselves. That would be a good beginning ground, because we have started on the Atma Samyama Yoga, which is nothing but the Dhyana Yoga. So the first thing is that we need to see whether we are eligible for meditation. So he explains who is a sannyasi and who is a yogi, and the sadhaka and the siddha. These are the 4 terms which are normally used. So in the entire Upanishad and Vedas, basically we have these 4 terms: sannyasi, yogi, sadhaka and siddha. So there are 4 stages of siddha, that is, you get into the pamara, then vishayi, then sadhaka and siddha. So what he has taken here is sadhaka and siddha. He has not taken the pamara and the vishayi, because the pamara is a person who is ignorant of everything, and vishayi is more worldly, and he has only religious idea. He doesn't have a spiritual idea. So the sadhaka is a person who commits to it. So first thing we need to know, or we need to understand, or we need to analyze within ourselves whether we are pamara in the real sense of pamara. Not that I just say I'm a pamara. No, that I might be saying out of humility or humbleness or whatever it is. But am I really a pamara? Am I really a vishayi? Or have I started on sadhana, which is sadhaka? So once the sadhana or sadhaka ability is there, that means I have done a sankalpa to attain the highest wisdom. Then I am fit and ready as a sadhaka and to go into the path of siddha. So as we start going towards that, we find a lot of obstacles on our path, and also little bit of milestones which can be compared. So there are many milestones, and which will be covering that, and then how Atma is perceived. Atma as in the mind, not the Paramatma, what we call as the complete over the omniscience and omnipresent. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this Atma, which is the Manas. So there are always factions in the mind. Dvaita gets established, whether to do this or to do that. And then who is a Yoga Yukta? Whom do you consider as one who has Yukta means ability, and Yoga Yukta is a person whom we consider, or that person consider fit for going on that path. And he gives some 9 examples of Samabuddhi. So these are the eligibility criterias and the quality what one should have to get into the Dhyana Marga or Atma Samyama. Now, how do I start? So to start that, there should be a mental environment that has to be created, which will be covering that up. Then there should be a proper physical environment for you to sit and do the dhyana. And the spot for meditation shouldn't be changed at any point in time. It is better to sit on that same place every day, because the energy what gets generated in that makes you immediately get into that equipoise. So it is better to have, like every home, we have this we have this place for worship. So we can go into that and sit, because it is relatively pure and it is uncluttered except for the photographs and the images, the pratima what we have, everything else is good. So what one should do is to establish that one deity attention and then sit there. And you should start preparing the mind and senses for observation, then studying the body, fixing the will and determination. He has to fix on the object of meditation, not the japa we are talking about. Japa is repetition. There is nothing to repeat there. So first I do japa, then I do tapa, then I come into dhyana. So what I need to do is, when I come into the garbhagudi of my being as well as the home where I'm residing, I need to start with yama. So I need to establish the ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha till the time I finish my meditation. Then I come to niyama side of it. So I start with shaucha, santosha, swadhyaya, tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhana. So this, if I am able to establish both by the body, mind, and uh, speech, then it is very good. So here is what I need to do. If I am the sadhaka, as soon as I come into the garbhagudi of my being as well as the home where I have the place for worship, I place my mat and then start with the Achamanan, Sandhya Vandanan, all that, or whatever I'm doing, or the ritual side of it, so that I finish it and then make my thing ready for meditation. So when I study for meditation, then I have to establish ahimsa. So any thought coming of himsa, I need to push that out by observing the breath. So if I am observing this breath, and then nothing can happen without first appearing in the chitta, the mind. So the himsa bhavana will start there. What is this himsa bhavana? It is like going ahead and looking at, this person shouldn't have said this to me. Yesterday he said this, the day before yesterday he said that, that person did this office should have been this way, or the coronavirus should be that way, and why people are going out and they're doing this and do that. All of these things are himsa. It first irritates the mind more than anything else. So then the anger comes. So if I don't want that to happen, I just have to watch it, let it go, not to hold it, let it go. So that is what I'm supposed to do with the mind. And then walk, that is speech. So there are certain plates and incense and this and that in the place of worship, and it is not properly placed, and then I get angry again because there is himsa. So I will start abusing whoever has kept it, saying that, is it the way to keep it? I have told you so many number of times. When I enter into this, I need it to be very pure, clean, and all that. So then the body. So I might hit a person, I might abuse a person using my mouth or gestures or whatever it is. So all of these is similarly for all the remaining four of them. That is ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. All the five should be like that. And same thing on the shaucha, santosha, tapaswadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhana. I need to be established in that. That will be the preparing the mind and senses and steadying the body and fixing the will and determination to do the dhyana, without which dhyana is not possible. So any system we take will ultimately go to the same goal, that is to realize that mind is the one which creates barrier. It's also a friend. So shutting down the mind will open up that reality which is there all the time. And looking at the extremities in food and sleep, moderation in food and sleep should be there. It is the middle path, what Buddha talks about. So same thing, what is there in Krishna. And we come to a stage of Nirvikalpa Samadhi in 21 days. So if I start today, by 21 days, I am in the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. How do I know I have achieved Nirvikalpa Samadhi? It's like a candle which is in a windless place. There is no vayu to make it shake away. So there is no shaking. And there are various stages which I can go over it. And then Krishna has his own definition of that yoga. And I start progressing on that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So after 21 days of doing it, the next 21 days, I have to establish Vairagya and Viveka. So Viveka Vairagya, if I get it, or Vairagya Viveka, if I get it, then the mind, restless mind, is put at ease. And then there is Phala, fruit of that Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And from then onwards, I am experiencing that divinity inside me. So that goes from microcosmic standpoint, Tvam, and macrocosmic standpoint, Tat. So I am understanding the Tat Tvam Asi, and now I have understood Tat and Tvam. Now I am able to establish in that Asi. So I have understood the macrocosmic, which pervades everywhere. Okay, that is that Tat. And microcosmic is the one which exists in me. So if I were to take a microscope and go deeper into my body, I can see the whole world, which is outside also. So there is no difference between the world inside me and the world outside me. They both are same, and hence this me is talking to that me, and in a way it is only me. There is no mine. It's one single me. So I have understood the macrocosmic and microcosmic reality, and I've understood Tattvam. And then I understand that in that case, the God which I was all along searching and seeking, there's no longer any seeking required. It is that what it is. So they both become one. And I have attained the highest yogi. Now I established in that consciousness. So then we come into the Vishada of Arjuna asking Krishna about, saying that, okay, this seems to be a very difficult path. It is even stronger than catching air. And you're saying catch the mind, which is faster than air. I don't think so it is for me. And Krishna then consoles our friend Arjuna what he should be doing and why he should not be running away again here. Then there is a discussions on yoga brashta, that is a person who has missed it. He's come this near, but then his candle ran out. He died. Now what happens to that person? Where does he go? And how does he continue? And then Krishna starts with the devotion. So what is the meaning of devotion? So this is what we have on the Atma Samyama Yoga. So what I need to do starting today. So we'll go through that. I thought that it is the best way to explain Bhagavad Gita of what we can do right now rather than each shloka by shloka and going into each detail. That might be good, but that doesn't really help. So first thing is that I need to create that fire, that there's something else in this world other than these four things what I'm doing: eating food, sleeping, food and shelter, clothing, and taking care of myself as medication, and also same thing with the family. So there should be something that draws this person, that there's something else other than these four things what we are doing, or what is that I'm doing. So I have bounded duty as a householder, and there's a bounded duty as a societal person, and a bounded duty even as a sannyasi and all that. So there is a duty. So person cannot jump away from the duty. So basically, the person should be willing to let go of something, because this he sees that it is monotonous, number one. Number two is that doesn't yield to anything. It actually, after some time, the parents pass away. After some time, the family passes away. After some time, he or she himself or herself passes away. So there's nothing anybody can do. So this is very straight line with some ups and down, but basically it is a straight line. So whenever there is an up, whenever there is a down, oh my God. So like that, we keep on doing it. So this guy, this person should then have an idea of disengagement. After seeing it for, let us say, 50 years from the time of his birth, at the 50th year birthday, he needs to consider stepping out of this madness and seeing life in a different way, because he knows that what he or she got in the last 50 years would be exactly the same in the next 50 years also. There won't be any difference whatsoever. So Dhyana Marga is not for a person who cannot see this. This is for somebody who can see this. That's foolishness. I did all of this for 50 years and now they're expecting me to do the same thing for next 50 years. It's stupidity. And from 60 or 70th year till if I were to stay for 100 year, then the body is getting so much diminished that even if I want to do something, I can't do. So it's foolishness of going around and earning and living and taking care of children and the grandchildren and buying properties and investment and whatnot, just to leave everything here and go. Why should I? That's the fire. And that's a person who is a sannyasi. And he is the yogi. That person who doesn't have this kindle of light is neither a sannyasi nor a yogi. He's basically fooling himself or herself, because that fire is not yet kindled. Intellect is kindled, but not the fire from deep within, saying that it is just an illusion. What I could do in 50 years, if I were to reflect all of those 50 years, except for these four, I have not done anything. So there's no point in going further. So he should decide to give up, get into vairagya, and use the discrimination, viveka, between the nitya and anitya. None of in these 50 years there was a day when there was no anxiety. None of the days it was without anything called as fear. And no days were there without worrying. So when those days it was not there, it was called as pleasure. But the days I worried for health or for wealth or for whatever, children or the wife or the husband or the land or the building or the investment or whatever I've done so far, has tremendous expectations, and it depends on various factors which are conditioned. So this fire should establish in me, and that person then is fit for taking on the Dhyana marga or going into investigation. So sannyasa means yasa is to give up. San is to completely give up. What to give up? The raga, dvesha, moha. Moha, that I exist. Raga is the attraction. Dvesha is the repulsion. So when something goes as planned by me, the me exists itself and says that, look, I got it. So there is attraction. The me says that, look, it didn't work. You should do it this way, that way. I think that person did it in a wrong way and this happened, that happened. Now I'll find a person to blame that person. So all throughout life, we blame something or the other. So the sannyasi is a person who blames no one, including himself. Why should he blame himself? There's no need to blame. There's no regret. There is no guilt. There is no worry. There is no anxiety. He gives up. So 50th year is the best time to start walking on the path. 1 second. Okay. So that is the best way of doing it. Then there should be sankalpa. That is determination of what he wants to do. And then he is walking on the tightrope of the sadhaka. So now what is this? Is that the person should have a will to climb up. And he should be doing something to attain that all the time. And one who has attained it is a siddha. That means two things should have happened. One, the will to walk, and two, there should be a goal which has to be set to walk on that direction. Whether the person takes the Bhuta Shuddhi way or the Chitta Shuddhi way, but he should have determined that this is what he wants and goes in the 21 into as many number of days it goes and establishes, and that person becomes a siddha. So he basically establishes the Chitta Shuddhi in the end by going through Bhuta Shuddhi, or he can start with the Chitta Shuddhi immediately if he feels that's how. And this marga, especially Atma Samyama, is for Chitta Shuddhi, not for Bhuta Shuddhi. This is for people who can investigate. Their mind is fixed on investigation. And those people whose mind is not fixed on investigation should go into Bhakti Marga by doing Bhakti Yoga and then coming into the Jnana Marga, which will be again back to this place, what we are talking about. So the Yoga Rudaha is a person who has established it, and now he is few meters away from the Nirvikalpa Samadhi because he is into the sadhana. How does he come to know on the milestone? So if you look at, he is not attached to sense objects. So I'll give you an example of myself. Yesterday when I was taking bath, so I was investigating on the senses and the sense objects. So I was looking at what are these sense objects made up of. Now if I take Rupa, what is Rupa? Rupa means that which integrates and form a solid layer is a Rupa. And which has color, and it has shape, it has structure. Now, if I were to see that, then I can give it as a male form and a feminine form. But I'll forget the form. I will only attach to the male and female. And because I'm called as male, there is a attraction for the female because the shape and the structure is different. Now, while taking bath, I was observing what this rupa is all about. To have a rupa, first it should have taken space. So it should have akasha. It should be able to move. Then it should have vayu. Then it should have temperature. Then only we can really say something is living. So there should be jiva. So then I should have this heat, which is the tejo. Then it should be bound, or it should have the binding nature. If it were to be disintegrating everywhere, every place, something is falling down, that I don't like. I like the one which is integrated. So actually, it's another funny thing that when a hair falls down, we don't like that hair because it has fallen off the head. But while it was on the head, we like it because of the bonding nature of the apo. The moment the feces and the urine and the sweat and the body parts start to fall down, nobody likes it. Whether the kidney or the liver or the intestine or the heart or lungs or the outside objects which are so much fascinating, if they were to get disintegrated, nobody likes it. Only when it is integrated, a person can then reasonably like it. So again, there is conditionality. So here I am investigating that, oh, I require apo. So what did I have? I had the space element, akasha, vayu, the air element, agni, the fire element. Then you have this space element, sorry, the apo, the water element, fluid element. Then the prithvi. So what I am attached to is solidity. I find my wife solid because of the skin. Or I hate my wife for the same reason. And she might be loving and hating me for the same reason, and just everybody like that. But actually, what it is, for the chakshu as a indriya, the rupa is only these 5 elements. Now, if I do for shrota, that is the sound, for sound to happen, I require the akasha. Without akasha, there can't be sound. And then there should be vayu. It should come and hit my eardrum. Otherwise, it cannot happen. Okay. Then grana, that is nose, and gandha. For gandha to happen, I need to have the prithvi and the apo. Sorry, prithvi and the vayu. Vayu again does the thing of bringing that smell to my nose, and the smell is there in the earth element, prithvi. Then, if I take the jivha, tongue, and then you have this thing called as rasa. So the rasa has to happen. What all should it include? I require it to be wet, definitely, that has to be there. And taste can only come through the solid. So then you require prithvi, then you require apo, then also you require the temperature. So you require the tejo. Then if I come to the touch, anything tangible, then it is prithvi. Without prithvi, there can't be anything to touch. So basically, what did I do? Or what am I attached to? There's only these 5 elements. The Bhuta Shuddhi was to get rid of these 5 elements. Now through Chitta Shuddhi, I can immediately do it. I don't have to go through the laborious process of asking God to help me. I can do it myself. So this imagination, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi, this is the imagination that a man exists, a woman exists, a child exists, furniture exists, this exists, that exists. Actually, nothing of that exists. What exists is only 5 elements. Once I have seen this, I am eligible for meditation. Now I have become Yoga Rudha. So I need to check, how is my attachment to sense object? How is my attachment to actions? Because ego takes those actions, saying, this is what you know, it's so nice. And am I free from all expectation of fruit of action? Now, Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi is used there to say that how mind gets engulfed with something as an expectation because it wants to enjoy. So the second milestone, if I were to see, I shouldn't be going towards the sense object, not throwing it off. Both will take me to extremes. Just observe what it does, like I did just now. For the touch, Prithvi. For the Rupa, all the 5 elements. So if I were to touch the 5 elements, for touch a person, what am I touching? 5 elements. So where is the person? Not there. This is my dhyana. Because the mind is the enemy and mind is the friend. Enemy in sense of getting attached to this sense and sense objects. Friend in analyzing and properly discriminating that it is not itself. Because all the sadhana rests in the mind. So basically, there is always an opposing forces in the mind. The higher mind wants to see itself, the lower mind wants to be associated with the sense objects. Because mind wants to do something which it is easy to do. It doesn't want to take something which is very difficult to do. Because it doesn't help it. So we always do the attachments to wife and husband and children and job, offices, house, properties, cash, bank balance, shares, mutual fund, all of these. Not that we should not do it, but don't possess it. And this possession orientation is the lower mind. It thinks it can possess. Higher mind has no such inclination, but it doesn't know what to do. And some people call it as subconscious and conscious. The subconscious mind has all the attachment, and the conditioning is happening on the conscious mind. But conscious mind doesn't have too much of things because it is driven by the subconscious mind sooner or later. So then when we come into this thing of where the mind takes the person either to liberation or it will take that person deeper into the samsara. So what he should be doing is that he should win over the mind by taking the sadhana. So he should take the sixfold virtues what Shankara had talked about. Sadhana Chatustaya. That is fourfold. So in that Shama, Dama, Uparati, all that what we had covered some time ago. Then the way to see is that whether the person is having prashanta. So we had covered this topic some time ago, but it is good to refer back. There are 6 general stages. First stage is a normal worldling going through pleasure and pain cycle, observes that he's going through pain and pleasure cycle, gets him to look at what is calmness, samatha. So sukha dukkha, he is transcending into samatha and gets into calmness by looking at how to satiate or get rid of attachment to one of the senses. The difficult of the senses is eating and seeing. 99% of the people are attached to food. They are called themselves as foodies. Oh, yesterday I tried this, and today I have to try that dish. This dish was good, and then I have to try South Indian. Now that the South Indian is gone, now it is North Indian, then Mexican, then Italian, then Spanish, and all that. Whatever the naming, fooding, basically. So majority of the people, if not 99, at least majority of the people, like more than 70 or 80% of them, would love to just figuring out what to eat from morning till night. Either they eat through this or they eat through intellect. So they keep on studying, reading, writing, publishing books, fighting, doing all kind of things, because that is what they want to eat. So eating is one of the key thing what a person has, and that is the pain and pleasure cycle. Pain is not getting it, pleasure is getting it. Now if he transcends that pain and pleasure, he comes to see that it is such a stupid thing to go behind this eating. It makes no sense because it cannot be satiated, so he gives up. So the difficulty is eating or the tasting. Easiest of it is smelling. If he can take the bad odor, good odor as same. This is what I had done some years ago by standing near the filthy water near my home, which takes the entire drainage out into some other place. So I wanted to stand there and meditate. Basic reason is that the fragrant smell and the polluted smell should both be just smell. There's nothing called as good smell and bad smell, just smell. So like that, somebody has to find out whether he can accept the smelling, touching, seeing, hearing, and tasting. Out of these 5, which one can he just give up, expecting it to be different? If one of the senses can be given up totally like that, immediate calm is going to prevail. And that's the equipoise, what we are talking about, yoga yuktaha. Because that helps in showing that he's prashanta. So the calmness what he gets, if we're to be in all the 5 senses, becomes shanta. And if somebody sees him or her, they feel how calm and how peaceful this individual is. So they want it from that person. So that's prashanta. So what Krishna is talking about here is jitatma and prashanta. He's not talking about the lower ones. He's talking about prashanta. Because after prashanta only you can get into atmananda and brahmananda. So prashanta should be there. So we need to establish this prashanta within oneself. And then he becomes samahitaha. That is, whether he has heat and cold or enemies and friends, the dualities he doesn't consider. And that is another way to check whether the person is in prashanta or not. So He doesn't get into comforts and discomfort. He is just there. Okay. Now, yoga yuktaha, also one way of seeing it is that he is equipoised and his knowledge is increasing on the reality. What's the reality? 5 elements and consciousness. That's all. Nothing else. We can name it by 100 different ways. But if you were to see, everything is 5 element plus 1 consciousness. And this consciousness arises due to conditions, arises in every sense, and departs as soon as the sense goes away. Then again arises, again passes away, and that we call it as mind. And mind then creates matter. So basically, if you were to see what is a human being, what is this being, what is that being, what is an ant, what is an elephant, what is a bird, what is an amphibian, what is this, what is that, what is human, 5 elements and 1 consciousness. That's all. If the person gets this knowledge, he has really worked like a goldsmith who is making gold ornaments, but that thing what he is trying to make, that doesn't change, but the ornament changes. So he knows that everything out of 5 elements is changing. And there is something which doesn't change. The mind is changing. The ideas are changing. But still there is some person who is observing it. So now he is coming to understand. So his sadhana is getting more and more stronger. So how does one get into the samabuddhi to check whether it is working for him or not? So he talks about suhrin mitraha arihi udasinam adhyasta dvesha bandhushu sadhushu apicha papeshu samabuddhi vishishyate. So a person who is in friends and enemies, good-hearted people, suhrin, mitraha, friends, arihi, enemies, udasinam, who are indifferent to his or her way of looking at things, adhyasta is neutral, dvesha is haters, bandhushu is relatives, sadhu, sinless people, apicha papeshu, one who is sinful, samabuddhihi vishishyate, that is, he has mind of equipoise. If that is not there, he is getting into, or he or she is getting into judgment. Oh, he's sinful, he is saint, this person is my friend, this person is my enemy, then he is still not achieved. If he is seeing everything as same, no difference. That's what the 9 ways of seeing it. So now we are coming into the mental and physical environment for meditation. So first we need to have the environment fixed up. So the yogi should consistently keep his mind steady in a solitude, internal solitude, not external solitude, internal solitude. Internal solitude, the place where he wants to sit and do something. And his mind and body are in control. What it means is that chitta atma, the chittas which are coming up, he is able to anchor them by observing how they are coming, just watching them. And then he's free from anxiety and greed, which is something to expect. So when he leaves expectation, then the greed and anxiety gets then reduced. Then what he does? He finds a clean spot. Shuchau deshe pratishtapya. Now he establishes stiram asanam atmanaha, a firm seat for himself or herself. Na ati uchritam, na ati nicham, neither too high nor too low. There are 2 meanings out of it. First meaning is the physical, that is, he is not making it too high bedded and low bedded, but basically it is related to the mind. He should not feel egoistic that he is doing it, nor torture himself that it should be done in a different way. He should torture his body. No. Neither he should enjoy the senses. That look, I am into meditation, I am started doing it, I can meditate for 5 hours without getting up. How many hours are you doing? So somebody says 3 hours. You see how I can do for 5 hours. That is uchritam. Na ati nicham. Nicham, if somebody says, I can do for 5 hours, yeah, you know what? I'm not able to do even for 5 minutes also. You are very lucky, man. I'm so bad, that I don't know why it is not working for me. I'm trying. It's a sulking nature of a person. And a very dynamic attitude of a person to project himself or herself. Both are on the wrong side. Okay, so he should not be doing that. He should have samadrishti. That he is in meditation not for enjoyment or trying to tell people that what is he doing. He can share, but internally, what is he doing? He is trying to see how the chittas arise and what they do. Chaila ajina kusha uttaram. That is, he can put a cloth, he can put a skin, he can put a grass, one over the other so that it can insulate. So even if we have this place of worship in our home, we can create this environment and we can sit. But not too high, not too low. That is, physically you should not do it. Verbalizing it is also not allowed. Mentally thinking it is also not allowed. Now he should get into the tuning or preparing the mind and the senses. Tatra ekagram mana kritva, having made the mind one pointed. Yata chit indriya kriyaha. So now yataha, likewise. This is the most difficult part. Chitta. We've been speaking about this chitta. We are doing a chitta shuddhi now. Chitta is what thought should come and what thought shouldn't come. He should first observe the thoughts. Indriya, they are running behind the indriya, not behind you. They are running behind the indriya. That is the senses. Kriyaha. Kriyaha is the work. Upavishyasane yunjit. That is being seated. Let him practice watching this. Yogam Atma Vishuddhaye, for that purification of the mind. Mind, as in the case of the mind, taking that Atma is itself. So this is the preparation. So now he has to see all the distractions which comes up, the obstacles, the hindrances. So all the 5 senses are the hindrances. So some coffee is brewing, the coffee smell comes. Wow, I need to have a coffee. Some sound comes and that sound is not good to hear. I don't know why people make so much sound and noise. I don't like it. They don't know I'm in meditation. It is hurting me. Some good sound comes. Oh, why are they playing it now? They should have played it after some time. That would have been good. Okay, like that. So for each one of those senses. So he has to observe. Then he has to steady the body, because body will be drooling. So that is another kind of hindrance. Samam kaya kshira grivam, that is keeping the body erect. Head and neck should be erect. So his backbone is also erect. Then dharayan achalam stiraha, holding them still and steady. Samaprekshanasigagram swam. Now people confuse this to be staring at the nose. No. What is entering inside the nose and what is exiting outside the nose. This is what he needs to see. Dishascha ana avalokayan. without looking into all the 10 directions. There are 10 directions: north, south, east, west, then the other and top and below. So 8 plus 2, 10. So he should fix himself in one direction. What is that direction? North. Why? Because it takes him up. His mind will be uplifted. And this 14th verse is the beautiful one. What is meaning of brahmacharya? So we'll come to that. Prashantatma vigatibihi brahmachari vrate sthitaha manasamyamya machitta yukta asita matparaha. So Atma should be prashanta. I think we already covered what's the meaning of prashanta, so there's no need to again go into that. The thoughts are stabilized. Vigata bihi is fearless, because there's nothing to fear now. All the fear are gone. The fear was for dissolution. Now that is no longer. Oh, it's already 9:30. So shall we take it tomorrow?
I think, tomorrow even I have another 10 minutes.
Okay, fine then. Then I can continue for another 10 minutes. All okay? Okay. So brahmachari vrate sthitaha. What is a brahmachari? Brahm means to expand. Achara is to perform. Anything that contracts is not a brahmacharya. What all will contract? Sensual thought will contract. The expansion. Because it pulls the mind towards that object. And the highest sensual object is sexuality. So that is the one which has to be stopped. Then the remaining will. The second after that sexuality is food, eating. I need this food, that food, this kind of taste and that kind of taste, this kind of color and that kind of color, all that. So that's a next one. The next one is smelling. So people would love to smell this, that, perfumes, so many things. Then hearing. People would love to hear music, they would love to hear kirtans, let us say, or whatever. They want to hear and they are very obsessed with hearing. Then touching. Sexuality is all about touching, so it's already covered there. And then the seeing. I want to see this, I want to see that, I want to visit this place, I want to visit that place. So Brahma Acharana is whatever that brings expansion. That means a person stops going behind the sense and the sense object. And he takes it as a vrata, vow. Sthitaha, stays there. Manasamyam machitta, having controlled the mind and the chittas are now properly positioned. Yukta asita matparaha. Let him put an object of meditation and continue doing there. Then he explains that all systems go to the same goal, that is keeping the mind balanced. The yogi will attain peace. Then he gets nirvana. Then this is what Buddha calls as nibbana. They both are same. One is in Pali, another one is in Sanskrit. Shantim nirvana paramam mat samstham adhigacchati. So what did he do? By removing himself from the sense and sense objects, the perception that I am the senses is gone. And with I am the senses going away, I am the mind is gone. And with I am the mind going, I am this personality is gone. With I am this personality going, the body feeling, the mind feeling, the personality feeling, the mind perception, the personality perception, and the body perception are totally given up. That is Shanti. Now, what's the difference between this Shanta and that Prashanta? Prashanta is when a person can be seen that he is at peace, whereas Shanta is that he is always in peace. And two is that there is no perceiving any element and a feeling element, and the consciousness which keeps on attaching itself to the sense and sense object no longer is able to do so. So it becomes Nirodha. Yogaschitta vritti Nirodha. That is what it is. And once the person establishes there, he is in Nirvana. Nirvana, what's the definition of it? Unbound. In English, if I were to talk, what is bound? Bound to thisness and otherwiseness. That is gone. Like a whirlpool and a river. The whirlpool is the mind and the river is that ever-flowing Atma or Atman. This mind wanted to establish its own reality, which is through the Chittas. Now the Chittas merge itself with the river. It gives up that thinking that I exist. The personality is gone. And with the personality going away, is unbound. So from the Chittas were conditioned, and now it is totally unconditioned. So he gets liberated. Maybe I'll stop here, and then tomorrow we can take the extremities in food and sleep and all that. Any questions? Okay, there is one question. How, without Vayu, how will the candle burn? I think somebody has taken it too literal.
I have one question here.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, this question is, it says that in, you are in which shloka?
I am right now in 15.
15 now. I was just, going through one shloka, suddenly I got it. It says that you have to sit and then you have to do dhyana. Paramatmanalli dhyana, it says that. Paramatmanalli dhyana madudu.
Correct.
Okay. Paramatmanalli dhyana means what here? Who is Paramatma when you are sitting?
Parama Atma. If you have an Atma, then there is a Paramatma, right? So the Atma here is the mind. So
Yeah.
what is the Parama of the mind?
Parama of the mind is the Shantate, right? There is nothingness.
Yes, that's what it is. So either you take a god or a deity if you go by the Bhakti Yoga, where you will make yourself a servant of that god. So the mind, the Chittas, will now reflect that god, right? So you are establishing that God in you, in your mind. This is from the Bhakti Yoga towards Jnana Yoga.
Okay, Bhakti means I have, say, for example, my deity is Durga.
Correct.
I will install Durga there and then I will surrender to her.
Yes.
And I will say that I am not body, I am not mind, I am just purified chitta.
Purified chitta of
and
Durga.
I am surrendering to that goddess.
Correct.
That is Bhakti.
Correct.
That is what we generally do, all of us.
That is what we are supposed to do in Dhyana. Now here.
Yeah. Then I have one question here. During that time, for me, Durga is in the form or formless, or what should I think about Durga?
No, that is what we are trying to look at, the Savikalpa Samadhi. So first we are going to come into the Savikalpa Samadhi, then we come into the Nirvikalpa Samadhi.
Yeah, Savikalpa is fully understood now. Now I want to go more from Savikalpa to completely Nirvikalpa. What is this transition is my question. How to do it?
The transition is that you are going to literally give up that thing. What is the thing is that now the person right now, if we were to have a Savikalpa Samadhi right now, what he will be having as Vikalpa? The Vikalpa is that imagined deity is in front of him. That is Savikalpa Samadhi. Because he doesn't no longer exist as the person. So the chittas are reflecting that deity, like in the case of Durga. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is that Paramatma when you really say that the Durga doesn't appear any longer.
So I have to take Durga out. Okay. What is
Yes.
next?
Next, after that, what happens is your mind will be filled with pure bright light. Meaning, the chittas get frozen. What was chittas having? Chittas was having something of I with those five senses, right? Now, the five senses earlier were having Durga. Now, the five senses are devoid of anything whatsoever.
Is it a blank or it's a light or it is something?
Now,
how to visualize that?
No, this is the difficult part, because when you are in the unbound, that is when you come into the state of no perception and no feeling.
Yeah.
Then how will you show that what you are going to see? Because you don't exist to see that. It is utter peace. That's all we can say. That's why he is also saying Shantim Nirvanam Paramam.
Okay. See, for me also, myself also, I forget about my Panchendriya, but I will only have some sense to do meditation, some energy to do meditation by forgetting myself. That is Tanmayate. We use the word Tanmayate, right?
Correct.
So during that stage, I have established myself. Now that energy is trying to connect with the Paramatma, and that Paramatma is not having any rupa or anything. It is attributionless.
Correct.
So this is also attributionless. That is also attributionless. You are trying to bring both into same frequency vibration. Then both will come and merge.
No. The first one, when we go with the first one, like you have Durga with attributes. It has Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, but Sattva is the highest.
Yes, correct.
Without which that deity cannot come. In the Nirvikalpa or Nirguna, because that's the reason we say Saguna, Nirguna. Saguna means with guna, with sattva guna. Nirguna means without any guna.
Okay, that supreme power is Nirguna, but I am having some guna called Sattva guna. Now Sattva guna, when you meditate, that Nirguna will come close to you.
No, you become that. Tattvam Asi.
Yeah, that is the end goal.
No, that is what it is. See,
how we are reaching.
No, Nirvana is that. Tattvam Asi is the Nirvana. Okay. Now, when we say what is Nirvana, it is like to say that the mind, the chittas, having understood itself, give up itself. The self is gone. The personality is gone. So with the personality going off, it doesn't exist any longer. So I gave a simile of the whirlpool and the river.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it merges with the river. Now you can't say where the whirlpool went. It has merged. So you will get into that state. That is Nirguna, without guna. That is the Nirvana.
Okay, maybe I think I may have longer questions in the next session about the same thing.
Sure.
Which, sometimes you experience that special energy. I think this is coming very close to that.
Sure. Maybe tomorrow we can start with that.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Vilas.
No problem. So we will continue tomorrow then.
Okay, bye.
Right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Shreyas, to answer to your question is that Vayu is that just like if you don't have any windy place and you were to take this candle, it will not extinguish. Similarly, the mind will be like that. It will not leave that object of meditation. That's all what it is. Hope I answered.